Hello everyone and welcome back to another Hoofo. I asked you guys on Instagram what you wanted to hear my honest, unfiltered opinion on, and this is what you came up with. Make sure you follow me over there if you want to get involved in the next one of these. To start things off, Cooper Keeling 77 asked, would I rather give up all 10 fingers or my hearing? I would definitely rather give up my fingers, but here's hoping that never happens. The reason being is I love music more than I love guitar. Guitar just happens to be my vehicle for making music. If I didn't have fingers but I could still hear, I'd find a way to use a computer to compose or produce music, whereas if I couldn't hear, I could still play guitar, but what good would that do? User CP Kawai asked my Hoofo on people who say that studying music makes you a machine with no feeling. My opinion is that those people are just looking for an excuse to be lazy and not do the work. I've studied music in a number of different ways. I played clarinet in high school, I've taken countless guitar lessons, I have a degree in music, and I've done a fair bit of self-study, and at no point did I feel like my creativity or field was being stifled. There's a common misconception that when you study theory or go to school for music, the teachers show you rules that you aren't allowed to break. This couldn't be further from the truth, and if a teacher tells you this, then find a new one. Studying music gives us tools that streamlines the creative process and in no way hinders feel. I've gone fairly deep on this subject in another video, feel free to check that out if you want to hear me rant more on this. Next up, we have Dom Fennell who asks, what mainstream pop singer do I like the most? If we're talking about current singers, I've got to go with The Weeknd. Love his voice, love his songs, especially the stuff he did with Daft Punk. I Feel It Coming is a great track. And fun story, I auditioned for his band about 7 years ago. I was living in Toronto and he put out a casting call over Facebook asking for a guitarist to submit audition tapes. I submitted some stuff and obviously never got a call back, but I did go onto YouTube and watch a bunch of the other auditions, and that put it in my head that maybe it would be cool if I started putting some stuff on YouTube. Now, if we're talking about pop singers from any era, gotta go with Michael Jackson. Moving on, we have Johnny Mulls who asks, what makes a good guitarist good? I love this question, way to go Johnny. A good guitarist is someone who is able to play things that suit the song. So was say Johnny Ramone from the Ramones a good guitarist? Yes, he was a very good guitarist for that style. If he went and tried to play bebop, he would probably be a bad guitarist at that style. Some really good guitarists are able to add to multiple styles. Other great guitarists are only great at one thing. But if Yngwie Malmsteen was called up to play with the Ramones and he shredded all over I Wanna Be Sedated, he would be playing bad guitar in my opinion, no matter how technical it was. So what makes a good guitarist good? They are able to play things that best serve the song. There's a great video, I'll link to it in the description, where Brandon Koo talks about this concept in terms of drumming and why Ringo Starr is an elite musician. Check it out. Okay, there are a lot of people who wanted to know my opinions on various bands and musicians. I'll get to some of the more common queries here. Many people ask me about Greta Van Fleet. Here are my thoughts. I'm not a huge fan, power to you if you are. They're obviously very heavily influenced by Led Zeppelin, which is cool. Zeppelin was a big inspiration on me during my early years of musical development. Now I don't really seek out their music, but when it comes on, I always enjoy it, partially because of nostalgia. If they were to come out with a new album, I would probably listen to it once and not really care about it. That just doesn't happen to be the type of music I'm excited about discovering anymore. So what about Greta Van Fleet? Well, I bet you if I found them when I was 15, I would have been one of their biggest fans. They rock hard, they do what they do really well, and it's great to hear guitar-based music getting a little bit of popularity again. However, I have no real attachment to them one way or another. Someone else asked about Nick Johnson. I had heard his name quite a bit, but had never checked him out until after I met him at GitCon about 2 months ago. Really good guy, we had a nice chat about being musicians in Canada, and after that I went and listened to his music and enjoyed it thoroughly. Instrumental guitar music is not my favorite thing ever, but I like what he does and he crafts some really interesting songs. I recommend you check him out. A lot of people ask me about Josh Klinghoffer, who now plays guitar with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The Chili Peppers were one of my favorite bands for a while, but around the time John left was around the time that I started moving on to different music for totally unrelated reasons. I haven't listened to a ton of their new music, but from what I can tell, Josh seems to be about the best replacement you could ever expect for a guy like JF. Though I will say I would be a very, very happy guy if John Frusciante ever rejoined the Chili Peppers. Another fellow asked me about my opinions on other musical YouTubers like Jared Dines, Rob Scallon, and Stevie T. Sorry guys, there's gonna be no drama here. I've had nothing but positive experiences with all three of them and have a deep admiration for their work. But I will tell you about when I met Rob. My channel was fairly small, he was quite successful. This was a couple years back at NAMM or VidCon or something like that. But despite that, he knew who I was and made me feel like we'd been friends for years. That stood out to me and really meant a lot, especially because guys like him paved the way for people like me. I hope that whenever I meet people who look up to me, I can make them feel how Rob made me feel. To sum it up, the guy's a certified beauty, and I hope to spend more time with more YouTubers in the future. And lastly, Mamo asks about my unfiltered, honest opinion on myself. Way to cut right to it, Mamo. Respect. It's taken me a long time to get where I am. I strive to be the best me that I can possibly be, and I feel that I'm as close as I've ever been. I have a job that I wake up excited to do every day thanks to people like you. I've maintained healthy habits for a while. My relationships are going well, and I've tried to rid myself of a lot of the negativity I held on to before and stuff like that. Of course, there are always things to work on, but right now, me and myself are getting along quite well. Having said that, my beer league hockey team is struggling greatly, and part of the blame is on me, so not everything is wonderful. That about wraps up the third installment to my Hufo series. If you'd like to hear some more of my honest, unfiltered opinions, you can click that link over there. And if you want to get involved in a future video like this, make sure you follow me on Instagram at samuraiguitarist. I post a lot of musical content over there that doesn't make its way here. I've got merch available at shopsamuraiguitarist.com, and as always, an extra big thank you to everyone who supports my channel on Patreon. Until next time, I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I will see you again soon.